Hello, everyone. Welcome to NAUI North, and welcome to this seminar on guided diving in the new 2020 era. If you have any questions, I invite, because it's such a personal topic, just to send me your questions by email or by chat or whichever phone, and I'll address them one-on-one. So what I'm going to do is we're going to start by sharing our screen and go ahead and look at how this is going to affect us in this particular time. So today's workshop, we're going to be looking at the following topics. A welcome, why are we here? Why do people go on a guided dive? Has that changed? Is this an opportunity time? We'll look at the diving event itself and about after dive socials. So welcome, thank you for attending today. Those of you that know me, give another introduction to myself, and those that don't, here's my information. I'm Bill Doran. I'm the Regional Manager for NAUI Worldwide for the Eastern Canada region, as well as I'm a training advisor. You can contact me either through NAUI Worldwide, or my direct numbers are here on the screen. If you want to write them down, they'll have lots of time at the end because I will have supposed to begin at the end of the session. Why are we here? COVID-19 has changed the way we all think and act. We've all heard that on the news. We've heard that on the radio, we've heard it on TV, we've seen it on the internet. Will this affect our guided diving activities? This discussion today is a collection of ideas and options. It is not a set of rules. At NAUI, we're a training agency, not a medical agency. So let's look at how these options are available to you and you can make those decisions. What are the real risks of COVID-19? We all know about these things. We've been hearing about them on the radio. Your best resources are a medical resource. I always look at Divers Alert Network. They're a great resource, and I have learned so much from them, and they are the experts when it comes to medical situations and diving. But let's look at a way that we as dive professionals, dive masters, instructors, dive centers, independent people can look at the guided diving process and make an adaptation where necessary. First, let's look. Why does somebody go on a guided dive? Well, they're students. Students need to start out by doing such, right? And in addition to that, we have new divers who may not have the comfort and knowledge about how to look around and go around and see things. So that's what we're looking at. When we look at the new divers, we've also got people just new to an area. You might have been diving for years, come to a new site, you come to a new area, where's all the cool things to look at? So as far as that goes, it's nice to have a professional show you how this particular site can enhance your dive by knowing exactly the fun things to check out. Perhaps you're taking a continued education course, and during that course it involves guided diving. For instance, cavern diving or cave diving, shipwreck exploration, identifying fish. There's so many ongoing learning situations where that continued ed course would involve you having a guided situation with your student, and it enhances their learning as well as the enjoyment of the dive. Perhaps somebody just wants to enjoy and relax the dive. I mean, I know lots of friends that are instructors, dive masters, instructor trainers, course directors, who sometimes just want to follow somebody else for change. That's okay. It's nice to be guided. There's just so many reasons why guided diving is taking place in the past. So when we look at that, we can also look at, how does it continue? What's the situation going to be? Is there, a change? And the answer is, are people still looking for an enjoyment and an experience during the dive? Of course, yes. Have people stopped wanting to have that experience? No. It's the same. It's going to be the same thing. And I think it's important we need to identify that. What's the opportunity here? Is there an opportunity? Of course there is. There always has been opportunity for guided dives, but let's look at perhaps new opportunities. In the coming months, people will not be traveling. And because they're not traveling, perhaps this is a way to get them to enjoy our local sites. So wherever you are, whether it be a lake, a river, the ocean, if you're running a dive program, be it an instructor, dive master, independent, a facility, store, club, there's diving locally, otherwise you're not there. So look at what you can do locally to make something exciting. You may think it's every day because you've done it 100 times, But perhaps there's a whole bunch of people, and I challenge there is, who've never dove there. Make it an opportunity for them to explore, keep their skills current, keep active in the dive world, and discover your own back door. There's a lot of people who travel around the world to do many activities, but never know what's in their own backyards. So we can look at these things. We can look at increasing revenue. Guided dives are billable dives. We do not do these for free, nor should you do them for free. They're an enhanced dive. People pay for that guide. They pay for the experience. And people who dive buy gear. People who have gear, who use the gear, need service. And all divers need tank fills. This is an opportunity to build our customer base. So yes, there's an opportunity. Absolutely. So let's look at the dive event. We've run some of these seminars already. I'm not going to go over things again. You're welcome to go back to the NAUI channel, the NAUI North channel, and you'll see that I've got a few other ones as far as adapting diving for the 2020 era, adapting teaching, and of course this one, adapting guided dives, and review them and see what we're doing, okay? The big thing is when we're looking at them, let's look into these separate categories below. Briefings. Remember, social distancing. Keep that leatherback turtle between us. Or if you're a good Canadian, you want to keep that hockey stick between us. You keep that distance of those things. It's going to give that social distancing, okay? If there's areas where you can't be within that social distance, then you're going to have to modify. But in a briefing, there's no reason you can't keep it a good distance. And perhaps in doing the briefing, little things might need to adapt. Perhaps you need to have, instead of a 8.5 by 11 clipboard that you write a doodle on and describe on, or have a pre-picture on, have a larger whiteboard that maybe it's, twice as big, maybe 3 times as big, and you can have your drawings on that so people can see it at a bigger distance. Simple adaptation. Increase your voice. Keep that sound, make sure they're hearing. Gear assembly. Well, again, if they're experienced divers, this isn't an issue. If they're not, well, then what you do is you look at assembling the gear for your guided people. And if you're doing so, make sure you're doing it with proper distancing rules. Again, we're a training agency. You want to look at your local authorities, medical authorities. I like, even if you're not doing the local, to go through Divers Alert Network and the local and see how that's working. And as far as that's going, you're able to then adapt your process so that you're making sure that you're meeting the standards for your area, for your insurance company, for your medical area, for your governing body, as far as the political government. So as a training agency, just adjust a little bit how we do our gear assembly for our students, or how we do our buddy checks. In the previous seminar from last week about adapting diving for the new era of 2020, I discussed buddy checks. Go back and look at that. There's options there. I'm not saying which is the best for your situation, but you need to develop a process that's best for you and your student. The dive itself, I have less concerns with, but again, you need to make sure you're good. The dive, again, we're breathing on a contained area called the scuba tank, and we're underwater soaking away. So during the dive really isn't a huge issue, but you want to make sure you're conscientious of certain things like buddy breathing, or what I prefer to say is shared air. Again, we covered that in an earlier session as well. Just make sure that the dive is looking right. The entries, the exits, how do we need to adapt? And it's an easy adaptation. We adapt as professional divers from site to site. Some sites we do a shore walk-in entry. Some we have waves, we may put our fins on and do a backward walk into the. Sometimes we step off docks. Sometimes we step off boats. So it's just another type of adaptation. The debriefing, remember, social distancing, not a lot of difference. So, just keep your distancing in place and make sure that we're good to go and life will be good. What about after dive socials? If you're billing for a guided dive process, part of the process is the dive, but the pre and post are equally important. We want to make sure that their whole experience is there. We can review what they liked. We can learn by that how to adapt for next time, but we can also make sure that it gives us other opportunities. And we do want to do that after dive social. This could be in a parking lot, have coffee and logbooks. You could have a thermos of coffee and a system for distributing it. You can have water bottles and fruit. There's lots of things you can do. Just make sure you follow the local rules as far as social distancing. Perhaps have their own snacks. Show a photo. Again, it's so easy, the technology now. I can have a TV that I'm sending pictures to with my wireless card, whether it be from a regular camera and a wireless SD, or it could be a GoPro system that has a wireless system as well, whether it be Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. And so there's lots of options where after the dive, we can have them looking at pictures of the dive and have some fun and things like that. I know in the past we've done little contests where they get a discount off gear purchase or a discount off another guided dive. Simple things. How many paddle wheels were on the J.C. Morrison? The answer is 11. Yeah. So little things like that can really enhance that. It's just an opportunity for them to do their logbooks. It's an opportunity for them to get excited about diving, sign up for another dive. Maybe they look at extra purchases, or whether it be gear or otherwise. You know, the enhanced experience is there, and there's no reason to change guided dives. People are looking for an experience. That is what we're selling when we're selling a guided dive, an experience where people have fun, be it a beginner, somebody who's being introduced to this sport, somebody who's just starting the sport, or a seasoned professional who just wants an experience in another area. So let's get out there and schedule our dives. You may have questions with regards to this, and if you do, by all means, please send them to me. Again, I feel that these tend to be very personal questions, so I invite you to email me or call me or whatever works best for you, and pass those questions along. So I will give my contact information at the end for you again. And in the meantime, this is what we covered. We talked about different ways in other sessions about training. So that's what we talked about in other ones. Today's one, we talked about the guided dive process. And it's very important that we are able to keep that bright picture. One of the topics for next week, for instance, is we're going to be talking about making a dive plan for 2020. Certainly there's going to be changes. We're a training agency that helps people learn to dive. Well, then afterwards, we need to get out there and get them out diving. And that is our job. And there's lots of great opportunities, and I look forward to sharing some ideas next week with you. In the meantime, you notice my contact info, bdoran@nowe.org, or you can reach me direct, 1-800-749-3108, or call NOWE Worldwide Direct. Thank you for listening, and we really appreciate your time together. So I'm really looking forward to our next week's process.